Miss Remy.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It was not. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very first Youth Symposium. I am Devanya Reed. I am the Executive Director of Welcome to the Queendom. We are so happy to have you here tonight. Tonight, young men of distinction and I decided to partner to bring to you the perspective of the youth. And so tonight I am joined by some young ladies from Welcome to the Queendom. We are home in Chicago, Illinois, and then some young men from Young Men of Distinction who are housed in Florida. So tonight we're going to throw out some questions. We want the young people to have a discussion about what exactly is going on in the world and what their perspective is on what is happening. So I'm going to start first by asking these young people to introduce themselves, tell us their name and their school and the grade they're in. So let's start with Taylor.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I'm 16 years old. I'm a sophomore at Little Black Pearl Art and Design Academy.
Let's go with Shamar.
Hi, I'm Shamar. I'm 16 and I go to John I. Leonard High School and I'm a junior.
Thank you. Solomon.
Hi, my name is Solomon. I am 16 and I am a junior at Palm Beach Gardens High School.
Jaynal.
Hi, my name is Jinald. I'm 14 and I go to Palm Springs Middle.
Sierra.
Hi, I am Sierra. I go to Little Black Pearl Arts and Design Academy. I am 15 and I am in the 10th grade.
Ariana. Sorry. Sarah. We can't hear you, Sarah.
Oh, my bad. My name is Sarah, and I go to University of Chicago Woodline, and I'm 16.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so let's get started because we have about an hour. We want to hear everything you all have to share. I'm going to start with the fact that we've all had our lives turned upside down by COVID-19, and it's changed the way that we live. I want to know if how has COVID affected each of you personally? So let's start with Taylor. Taylor, how has COVID affected you personally?
I think it's definitely, everybody made me more cautious, especially about where I go. And if I do go somewhere and if it's a lot of people around, my parents actually had it for a second. So that's definitely made me more cautious about who I'm around.
Okay. So your parents were sick. How severe was that? Were they hospitalized? Did they stay home?
I think they had a mild case. They after, it kind of went down for them. They had the side effects fatigue all the time. So yeah.
All right, thank you. How has COVID affected you all personally? Shamar.
Well, for me, it hasn't really affected me personally, but it's more affected me in a social way. Because, some friends who I talk to every day at school, that just cut off once COVID. It's you know, so now I had to start making new friends who I can actually keep contact with more often than people who just once school's over. That's it.
So you weren't able to maintain those relationships with your friends because you were no longer in school?
Yeah, I feel that's more the case. Yeah.
Let's have someone else. How has COVID affected you? And personally can mean, like Shamar said, how you're feeling, your everyday, or even has it affected somebody like your family members, like Taylor, Sierra? How about you?
COVID has affected me in a well, I'll say in a good and bad way. During COVID, my mom had a baby, so I was pretty excited about that. And in a bad way, my little brother's dad passed away from COVID, so that was pretty sad.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. And so your mom had a baby. At the hospital, were you able to go visit her? Because I know that a lot of people were not allowed in the hospital. Was anybody allowed to be there with her while she was in
Um,
labor?
my aunt was allowed to be there with her when she was in labor, but once she went to go deliver him, she wasn't able to be in there anymore.
Let me have somebody else. How has COVID affected you personally? Sarah.
COVID affected me personally because I play basketball, and every year we have games and we go play with different people. This year we probably won't be able to play. They're looking into it right now. It's a possibility, but it's a big no for right now.
And I have a couple of young men who haven't responded. You chime in. Is Jaynal still on, Jaynal?
Yes, ma'am. And my name is, how you pronounce my name is actually Janal, the Y is silent, ma'am.
Jaynal, okay. Thank you for correcting me.
It's okay. I get it all the time. Okay, so how COVID has affected me by, well, I play an instrument called viola. You know, I'm into music. I'm in an orchestra. You know, it did help a little because I get to stay home now, so I have extra time of practicing. But like rehearsals with my group is like a bit harder because of it, because virtually mic problems, it's just not the same.
Yeah,
I think it'll just affect the group.
yeah, virtually is not the same as being in person. All right. Solomon, or is it Malachi? Is Solomon still on, or Malachi? Oh, okay. Did all of
Yeah,
y'all?
I'm still here.
Who's still here?
Solomon.
Okay, Solomon. How has COVID affected you?
I guess I'd say it slowed my life down, but also sped it up, I guess.
In what way?
More like, so overall, I'm a social guy, but once COVID hit, I guess, I don't remember exactly who said it, but they said that it was a lot harder for them to associate with their friends and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that applied with me as well. But instead of making things hard, it kind of made things easier. It just allowed me to properly see who I allowed in my life and who really didn't deserve to be there. So it definitely allowed me to make those decisions a lot easier. And as for speeding it up, while I was indoors most of the time, because we were in a pandemic and all, it still provided me some opportunities to do things that I wanted to do. Just how I had to go about doing them different ways, but I was still out to do stuff that I wanted to do. And doing stuff I wanted to do allowed me to propel my life forward. I was allowed to work out more. I got a job. So it didn't really hold me back as maybe some people might believe that it did, but for me in general, if anything, it was more of a wake up call rather than just something bad.
When you say wake up call, in what way?
In a more, because since I'm a junior, whether I like it or not, I'm gonna have to start getting my life together and figure out what I'm gonna do after high school. So COVID slowed things down and allowed me to properly make a plan on going forward instead of just living my life and just figuring it out when the time comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so now there is a vaccine. It has a lot of controversy out there about the vaccine. How do you all feel about the vaccine? Right now, children, it's not for children. There's going to be a trial for young people. It's only for adults. But do you feel like you would want to take the vaccine? And just tell me why or why not if you say yes or no. Since you're the last person talking, Solomon, can you just kick that question out for me? How do you
All
feel
right,
about the vaccine?
all right. It's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that because when I was working, I think it was like a week before they announced the vaccine. I was talking to one of the customers because I work at a restaurant, so you hear a lot of stuff at a restaurant.
Mhm.
And I was talking to the customers, and one of the old ladies that were there said she had already had it, and that really confused me because I was like, I thought it was still in the making,
Mhm.
but she had one. She had a vaccine a week in advance, and that had me thinking: Is it what's really going on here? Because if we weren't gonna have it for another week and she already had it, that made me feel like something was up. But I mean, I'm 16. I'm a busser at a restaurant. I'm not really gonna Sherlock Holmes an entire investigation or anything like that.
Yeah.
It just gave me something to think about.
So
And
go ahead.
after seeing a bunch of people take it or talk about taking it, at least it just made me feel like I didn't want it. I wouldn't want to take it if the opportunity came up. Mostly because I while I understand that the mindset of everybody else is taking it, so I won't have to take it, isn't necessarily a good mindset to have.
Mhm.
I feel like in this situation that I'd be fine without it regardless, as long as I wore a mask or something.
Okay. So let's have one of the young ladies chime in on that. Sarah, how do you feel about the vaccine? Thank you, Solomon.
How I feel about the vaccine.
Would you want to take it? Solomon says he would not.
Oh, I thought you called on me.
Oh, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can talk about that. But how I feel about the the vaccine. Usually, it takes scientists years to come out with medications, but this one came out pretty fast. I think they said they started last year in March, and then it came out. I think November or October. I just think they made this one pretty fast. I'm a little suspicious of it. I don't think that it will do any good to anybody.
Okay. You don't think it would be effective, is what you're saying. You think they came out too fast and it may not be 100%. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay. Taylor, what do you think?
Um, I already know, like, I'm gonna have to take it. My mom already told me. Like, once it's like situated for kids, she told me and my brothers, we gotta take it because she already took the vaccine. So honestly, I don't even know. I just know I'm gonna have to take it.
Okay. So basically, you don't have a choice. Do you want to, though?
I don't know. Honestly,
Okay.
I don't like. I'll like walk downstairs and my parents be watching the news and like you see about it on the news, but like honestly, I don't really know enough about it. Like, do I want to or do I not want to? At this point, I don't know.
So let me have Shamar.
Yeah, that vaccine. I don't think I know about it because as I forgot the name who said she don't trust how early it came out.
Mhm.
Whoever said that, yes,
Sarah. Mhm.
Sarah. Yes, I back you up, Sarah. I would rather wait until I can actually see results of them proving it works rather than just saying, here's this, it's going to work for now. We don't know what it's going to do now. I want to see actual results of them testing it, using it, and seeing the changes of it actually doing its job to help fight the virus.
So you want to see how effective it is before you jump aboard. You would jump aboard and take it.
Yeah. Right now, I'm gonna stay vaccine free and just live, you know?
Okay. Well, thank you. Sierra, what do you think? Are you feeling comfortable? What do you think about the vaccine?
Well, honestly, I would not take it because I've heard that the vaccine has COVID in it, and it's like they're putting it into our body so we can fight it off if we ever catch it. And I think it's like it can be a risk because you never know how your body could react to the vaccine. So I don't think I'll take it.
Mhm. Okay. Janal, Janal.
Yes.
Did I say your name
Say
correctly
that
that
again,
time?
ma'am. I did not hear you.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about the COVID-19 vaccine?
The vaccine? I did
Hmm.
not really hear that much about it, to be honest. Nothing about the side effects or how it works, because I don't really look at the news like that unless my parents make me. So I don't really know.
Okay.
Not, I know that we're not taking it though, my family.
Okay. Your family doesn't really feel comfortable with taking it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Tyler, I see you joined us. What do you think about the COVID vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine?
Um, I actually have a family member. My granddad recently got it, and everything is looking smooth. But I wouldn't take it because you know how early it came out and how many lives it's claimed. Like
Mhm.
opposed to different diseases in the past. Like there's still no cure for cancer. There's no cure for HIV or AIDS. There's medication, but to slow it down, but there isn't a cure. And it seems very staged. I want to say is very skeptical of it. So I wouldn't take it.
Okay. So some of you are a little skeptical about this vaccine. You think it came out a little too soon. That's what I'm hearing.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about the effects of COVID, but let's shift the gears a little bit because you all have had to change the way you go to school totally, and you have been virtual and have to go virtual learning with your teachers. And I know in Chicago back in March, we our governor shut down all the schools, and all of a sudden the kids were online. How is virtual learning? Let's first just tell me, do you like it? Do you like virtual learning? How do you feel about it? And how has it affected your grades? Have you done better? Are you doing worse? So let's talk about virtual learning. Let me start with you, Tyler, since you just popped on.
Honestly, I'm not a fan of it. I admit my grades definitely improved, definitely, but just I feel like when I wake up in the morning, like I have no purpose. I wake up and I'm going. I'm either staying in my bed. My mom recently, forced me to get out of my bed,
Mhm.
but I just wake up and I go to the table and stand at a screen for hours, opposed to wake up. What am I going to wear? I need to
Mhm.
groom myself, put some cologne on. So it's just no social interaction or whatever.
Yeah. So really your motivation to just get up and get dressed and get ready is kind of,
Right.
it's not there. Okay.
Right.
All right. Sierra, what about virtual learning? How do you like it, and how has it affected your grade?
Virtual learning can
Um,
be. Oh,
what are you talking about?
Oh, who was speaking? I heard two voices. Sierra.
okay. Virtual learning can be good or bad. My grades are pretty much the same from like when school was still going in person. But I think virtual learning can be better because I don't really feel like I'm learning a lot, or the things that we are learning are like a review of stuff I already learned in the past.
So are you saying that you feel like there's no new content, that teachers are just kind of going over old stuff
Yes.
while you're online? Okay. Does anybody else feel like that? Do you feel like teachers really aren't really putting forth the effort in the lesson plans, and maybe this is just a review for them? Who else feels like that?
Yeah, me. Well, I go to school with Sierra, so I know it's like it's hard because it's like some teachers, they are putting in the work in certain classes that it's like, okay, yeah, we are actually doing stuff and we are actually learning something. And then it's like other certain classes where it's like, you're not doing anything. We doing the same stuff that we were doing in class when we were actually in person learning, but we weren't learning anything then anyways. But it's just like I don't understand how you expect me to put my best foot forward then you're not doing it yourself.
Mm. Oh, wow. Okay. And I saw someone else wanted to respond to that. Was it Shamar?
Yeah, my mic. Yeah, it was me. Um, Personally, to me, virtual learning sucks. Because as Tyler said, he doesn't really see any, motivation to have purpose. Me, all I'm thinking is they're just taking work and putting it in our environment of chill. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when you get home, you want to relax, you want to take your sleep, do what you got to do, right? You don't want to do work.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking work from our workplace, our kid version workplace,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing it to our home. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I get tired during the Google Meets and I'll fall asleep. And since no one knows I'm asleep cuz they can't see me if
Mm-hmm.
my camera's off. There's no one to wake me up and I'll just sleep through the whole period.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to just to piggyback on what you said a little bit, just the adult version. I get exactly what you're saying, because working from home and going outside to work, with doing everything in your place at home, it's hard. Where you live is very difficult. Who else wanted to answer that question? Ariana, I see you joined us. What do you think about virtual learning? Has your grades improved? Do you like it, and how's it affected your grades?
Can you hear me?
I can.
You can?
I can. Yes.
Okay. I personally feel virtual learning is good and bad. My grades, they have pretty much stayed the same because I do my work, but I feel that it's been kind of harder to maintain and manage everything only because it's been a longer time for me. Like my school used to we used to get out at 2:45. Now we get at 4:10, and it's a lot of stress, like especially on my eyes, like screen time wise. And I feel that virtual learning, it's maybe easier because some people are visual learners, but for me, I like to be up close in person, like writing it down myself. And now you can just say that you're doing it, but you don't actually have to do it, which is kind of easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who else? Anyone else want to jump in on that question? virtual learning?
Yeah. For me, I virtual learning. I actually love it because my grades are excellent and my school is considerate. They notice that we don't like that we're more tired. That being online for so long gets us tired, sleepy, so they changed the time. We used to be in school for 3:30. Now we get out at 1:30. So I'm able to do my homework. I'm able to go to sleep. I'm able to do whatever I need to do. And I'm a virtual learner, so it's just more easier for me. And they have after school hours, so if I don't understand something, I just go to school and I can just ask them as many questions as I want. And it's just easier for me.
Okay. That's good to get another perspective. It sounds like most of you, though, not really feeling virtual learning. So if I ask the question, who's ready to go back to school and ready to be back in the building, who would say yes to that? I see. I see. Tyler's hand. Anybody would say no. I'm good at home. I want to stay home.
I would say
One person. Who is that? I see the hand over here. Who's that with the hand up?
Mm.
Is that Janal? Who's that? Is that Janal?
It's Malachi.
Who?
Malachi.
Malachi. Malachi, and I saw somebody else. Ariana, was that you?
Yes.
Okay. So most of you are ready to go back to school. Okay, in the midst of COVID, let's shift gears a little bit. In the midst of COVID, something really a big happened and affected a lot of cities across the United States, even the country. There was the death of George Floyd. And I don't know, I'm going to ask before I go into a question. How many of you actually saw a video, a picture, or heard something about the death of George Floyd? Let me see just a show of hands. I can see you through the camera. Okay. And I think Ariana, I don't see your hand. Ariana, have you not heard anything about that? Okay. So I see a lot of people wearing the mask that says, I can't breathe. But for those of you who did see that video, watching that video, how did that make you feel? Like, what were your thoughts? What were your feelings? What came to mind? Let's start with one of the young men. I see Solomon, start with you.
They made me feel I was mad, but also confused because I mean I understand why nobody jumped in because if you go to fight a cop when they're detaining somebody, that's basically giving them the okay card to shoot you or something. So I understand that to a point. But after a while, when you see they're doing something unjust, and I understand recording it is better than just doing nothing at all, but it's like watching murder. So why not step in and stop it? I mean, I guess it's different for me because I'm not there. I wasn't there when it was happening, so I can't say for sure if I would have fully stepped in or not. But I feel like watching it, I feel like somebody could have went in and did something if they really wanted to.
Mhm. So you feel like people that were watching this should have done something, should have intervened in some type of way.
Yes.
So I asked the question, how did it make you feel? And then I'll come back to if anybody agrees with that. How did that make you feel, Taylor, watching that video?
I like just a bunch of emotions. Like my heart was just really heavy. Just like sitting there watching somebody life go out their eyes. Like that is just it's scary. It was I felt a lot of emotions.
Sarah, how did you feel watching that video, seeing that?
um, I felt disgusted. Yeah, basically what Taylor said. Just watching somebody um, being hurt and having well, him being killed for no reason that it wasn't.
What was the last thing you said, Sarah? I couldn't hear you.
I said what happened to him wasn't necessary at all.
Tyler, can you share your thoughts on that? When you saw that video, how did you feel?
Um, at the time, it really didn't phase me. I admit it didn't phase me because I was like, okay, another black man dead. You know, what can we do? But when you actually think about it, you know, what actually happened, his life was slowly being taken from him. You know, like and when I grew when I grew angry about it, I was like, dang, if I was there, I would jump in it. But you have to sit there and think about your life. Is you're really you're just jumping on board with him. You know, you're jumping on the boat of death with him. You know, so because if you interfere, that's your life. You know, your heart was in the right place, but that's your life. You know, it's not a movie. It's real life. You know, so but yeah, it was traumatizing because he couldn't breathe. Like, if you sit there and actually think about that, that's think about a moment where you just can't breathe. Like, you're so accustomed to it. You wake up, you breathe. You sleep, you breathe. You know, even when you're scared, you breathe. But it's something that we take for granted. And if you sit there for 9 minutes and he's gasping for air, and people all around him can help him, but they can't in a way, you know, it was definitely a wake up call for not only blacks but America.
Why do you think it was a wake up call, Tyler?
It's a wake up call because just to show that police brutality never left. It was just brought to a bigger stage, you know. So it was a wake up call just to show people that this is real. Like, it wasn't just I personally, I would rather, if I was gonna, if I had to pick a situation where I know I was gonna be killed by the police, you know, God forbid, but I would rather be shot than have a 200 pound man, 150, 200 pound man just kneel on my neck until I can't breathe anymore. And it wasn't a minute, it wasn't 30 seconds, it was about 8 minutes of him gasping for air.
So, Shamar, what did you think watching that video? How did it make you feel?
You said me, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, the audio is like really choppy right now for some reason.
Okay. You can't hear me
Can
well?
you repeat it? I
You
can't
can't.
hear anyone well. Everyone cuts out.
Okay.
But if you could repeat that.
I asked a question about George Floyd in the video. How did that make you feel when you saw it?
Well, for me, I didn't really like see the video. Like, I don't watch the news at all. No one forces me to. So I had no idea until it just popped up on Instagram, you know? So to me, I was just like, oh, hmm. Then pass it. And then I just kept seeing more and more of it. Then it got me thinking, you know, that could have been any of us. Like, yes, it happened to him. That is terrible. I send my regards to the family. But if you're in that situation, what would you have done?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I see
Because
somebody. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shamar.
because fighting back would have made it worse. And struggling would have made him press harder. We're still alive, thankfully, and our best thing to do is to keep living for George Floyd and all the others who have died before him and who will die after him until it comes to a stop.
Thank you for that. I see somebody. I can't quite see the last person. There's somebody else that hasn't responded. I don't see your name either, so I'm not sure it is. If you haven't responded, can you turn your mic on? It says just one person. I'm not sure who it is.
Okay. I was shocked and curious when I seen the video because it was like he was already on the floor, and I feel like there could have been many different alternatives that could have been used to save his life. It was four officers there present, so I'm pretty sure he wouldn't put up a fight with them. I think that the officer had an intent to kill him, and I think it's just pretty sad that that had to happen, and that he stood on his neck for 8 minutes. I think that was pretty unnecessary.
So you don't think it was an accident? You think he intended to kill him?
Yes.
And there's one gentleman left who hasn't responded. I'm not sure if I even know your name. Can you respond, please, and tell me your name?
Me?
Yes. What's your name?
Malachi.
Malachi. Okay, Malachi. I haven't seen you tonight. Malachi, you're the last one to respond. What did seeing that video? How did that make you feel?
It made me feel. It made kind of scared because like God forbid, maybe one day that could be one. It's just terrifying to know that that's how how some black men are treated by the police in this type of world. And it also had me thinking like, why? Because it was one cop and four police officers, right? Not one cop. I mean, one guy and four police officers, right? So why did they have to just do them like that? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It don't make sense why four cops had to gang up on one guy like that. It's just, and then he died too, which made the situation 1,000 times worse. It's just, it makes me feel scared because that could be me where George Floyd was one day. And God forbid that will happen because it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. So the police their motto is to serve and protect. They're here to help us, to serve us, to protect us. But my question to all of you now is, do you trust the police? Do you trust the police to keep you safe? Do you trust them to do their job? How do you feel about the police? Do you trust them?
Honestly, I know not all cops are bad. I've met a few that are okay. Like, there's this one time I was training with one of my trainers at the basketball court, and we had a speaker. It was early in the morning. We had a speaker, and some old lady had called the police because apparently, like, she believed we were disturbing the peace or something. But even like the closest person was like probably like 60, 70 feet away, so it shouldn't really have bothered them. Anyway, so they had called the officer, and the officer came up, and he just said, he said we were fine. We just had to turn the music down a little bit. And he even came, he shot around for a little bit, and we just chilled out, and then he left and let us go about our day. So while there's good, and then there's bad, it's just the bad's going to get shown more than the good because that's just the type of society that we live in. That being said, I trust some cops, but if it came down to it, when it comes down to it and just me protecting myself, I would trust me rather than the officer down the street.
And someone else, Taylor, do you trust the police?
Yeah, like he said, I can't remember your name, sorry. Like he said, there are some good cops and then there are some bad. But like with everything that's been going on, you can't help but think like, do you have ulterior motives? Like when you see my color, the color of my skin, like, but yeah.
So you feel like you do trust them, but you're a little apprehensive, a little nervous about that.
Mm-hmm.
What about Tyler? What do you think? Do you trust the police, Tyler?
When you say that, do you mean like, do I trust them like to do their job, or do I trust them with like my life?
Both.
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I honestly say, I don't know. That's a tough one. I say no. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think I've ever met a corrupt cop. You know, all the police encounters I've ever had, you know, they've always been chill. They've always been, respectful. But just because I haven't ran into it doesn't mean it's not out there. Because it's obvious it's out there. Um, but I have to say no. Just to say what go off of what Malachi said. I know I can control. I know I can trust myself more than I can trust others to handle my life, like to control my life, because I know I can. I know I'm gonna look out for what's best for me, other
Mm-hmm.
than someone else.
Okay. What about you, Ariana? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. I would say that I do agree with Taylor. I feel that it's not all cops. I feel that bad cops do make it a reputation for all cops, and that's the reason why a lot of cops who are not bad cops, they take the blame. But I feel that trusting someone with my life, that's something that's very deep. And I feel that at the same time, you cannot tell who are the bad cops and who are the good cops. So personally, I don't. I would just rather trust my family more than anything. I wouldn't trust cops at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Shamar, did you respond yet? Could you respond to that question, please?
Well, as they said, not all cops are bad because my dad, yes, he is a ex SWAT member. He's soon gonna retire after I graduate high school, thankfully, so he can get out of that dangerous line of work. But yeah, as they're saying, I would rather put my life in my hands where I know my action can shape if I live or die. I and even with family, there are certain family members where I would not trust. I put more trust in some of my friends than certain family members because reasons, you know.
What about you, Sarah?
Like they said before, not all cops are bad. Majority are good. You just see the most of the bad cops on TV, and pretty soon we're going to be driving. So if I was to get pulled over, I mean, you never know what kind of person you're going to meet or what kind of person is going to approach you. You never know if they're going to, do their job or not. But I don't know if anybody is religious. I don't mean to offend anybody, but I put my trust in God. I know I'm protected. But if it was my time to die, then so be it. I know that I know I stand. Not every cop is bad, but yeah, I do put my trust in cops. It's just you got to be careful with 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 the right person who approaches you.
Okay. Thank you. Who did not respond to that question? I think I see a young man on here. Some of the faces are new. Can you respond to it? Yeah, I see your hand. What's your name? I can't hear you.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so talk about the way how I look at a cop, right?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Well, can you repeat your question?
My question was, in the midst of everything now, do you still trust the police? Do you trust the police?
Okay, well, growing up when I was a kid, I first saw cops as like when I see a cop, I thought of them as a hero. I thought that I could trust him whenever I need help. But like growing up now, I'm like slowly losing my trust for them because there's some bad cops among them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So, in response to what happened with George Floyd, some people decided that they were going to loot and riot. Do you believe that those people were justified in looting, like breaking into the stores, taking things? Do you think that they were justified in response to what happened to George Floyd? Was that a good way to respond? Were they justified? And I'm going to start with Sierra.
As a justified, do you mean like do you think justice was like proven?
I'm asking, do you think that was a good way to respond to what happened?
No, because they were like tearing up and destroying a lot of resources that a lot of communities depended on, even them. I think that I'm not sure what the purpose of that was, but I just think they kind of made it worse because a lot of the things that they destroyed is stuff that a lot of African American communities depended on.
Okay. Um, we have Tyler piggyback on that. Tyler, what did you think? Do you think that's justifiable? Like that's a good way to respond?
Nah, definitely not. Protests all day, but the rioting and the looting, I feel like it was the easy way out. Like, and the more people saw it, oh yeah, or the more people saw it, they thought, oh, let's hop on this. Might as well. It was just a bunch of followers doing what they thought was cool, which hundreds, thousands of them ended up locked up. And it's just like, for what? Like, what are you doing this for? And like you by you burning buildings and destroying buildings, hard work, because it's a lot easier to tear down something than build something up. So it's like, why would you do that? So I hated to see it, especially since I saw my people doing it. And yeah, it was just a bad time.
Thank you, Tyler. Sarah.
I see where people were coming from, but at the same time, it was most definitely wrong. People know it's not right to steal, know it's not right to vandalize other people's properties. I feel like, well, I know that in poor communities, like for example, maybe Inglewood, not the wealthiest community, some people have to walk to get their groceries. Not everybody is wealthy; they don't have a car, and you messed up someone's source of getting food from. You messed up their grocery store. I mean, and then you have black businesses, and black people are all about supporting our own people, but yet, I mean, you tore down someone's business. I mean, peacefully protesting would have been better than looting. Um, just um, breaking down or tearing up someone's source. Not everybody is wealthy. Not everybody can ride the bus. Not everybody can ride the train. Some people need to go further places to get food, or maybe the closest grocery store to get food, but now they can't because it's torn down and it is not useful anymore.
Malachi.
You ask the question one more time.
The question was, did you think the people that were looting and stealing from stores, do you think that was a good way to handle what happened, a good response to what happened with George Floyd?
Yes and no.
Can you explain?
Yes. No, because they're breaking in and looting, stealing from like stores and utility places that everyone needs, and that's just not fair to the other people who actually need those things instead of the other people who go in there and steal it. I think yes, because Black protesting obviously hasn't seemed to be getting the job done, so they have to. I feel like they had to, I guess, really get it out there so they could finally be seen and let people know that if this keeps happening, they'll keep doing what they're doing, such as looting and rioting and all that.
Okay. All right, thank you. Shamar, what do you think?
Crip. Yeah, I agree with what he said because my phone will not stand up. But yeah, I agree because yes, what they did was wrong, all the rioting still. But still, you have to think that we've tried peaceful protests before in the past, and all this stuff is still going on. So I can see why they decided to resort to drastic measures to actually get people to see, hey, this cause is something you need to take attention to. And if we need to do this to get your attention, then we need to do this to get your attention. And as you can see, it definitely drew more attention to the cause.
Okay. Okay.
But
Ariana,
they could have
I'm,
at least died it down.
Ariana, are you frozen or I think
Yeah,
frozen?
I can hear though.
You look frozen. Okay. Can you respond to that question?
I would say that I would say yes and no as well. I feel that the only problem that I would say that made me feel like it was a dumb decision would be that they were doing it in black neighborhoods, like at corner stores and places of that nature. I feel like, okay, the north side, I feel like, okay, that was something that, you know, made more of a stand only because it was in a more white neighborhood. I feel that since it was there, it got more, action. But I feel like when they posted it in the black neighborhoods or when it was on the news and it was broadcasted, it was more of a joke. Basically, I don't feel like it was really taken serious until they went like to Michigan Avenue and downtown and on the north side.
Mhm. Okay. And the last person I'll ask is Janal. Janal still on?
Yes, ma'am. So about the writing, I
We can't. I think we lost Janal. Did we lose him? Okay, I think we lost Janal. Let's move on to another question. So this year we had well, last year we had a really big election and voting happened. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on voting? Do you think it is important to uphold your civic duty of voting? So in other words, do you think it's important to vote? I'm gonna ask one more time. Do you think it's important to uphold your civic duty of voting? And then tell me why or why not. If you say yes or no, why? Does somebody want to volunteer to answer that?
Yeah,
Who's speaking?
me, Sarah.
Sarah.
I say yes because if you want something done, if you want to get someone out of office or you want to get someone in office, you have to vote. It doesn't take one person can't vote and get what they want. One person can't vote and get someone in office or get someone out of office. It takes a group, it takes a community, it takes a whole bunch of people to vote together. So yes, your voting is very important. Everyone votes counts, even if you think it doesn't, because you gotta balance. You're going against other people. You either want this done, or you don't want this done. So if you vote, it counts, and you most likely will get.
What's the last thing you said, Sarah? I missed the last part. You say you would most likely get something.
Oh yeah, you most likely will get what you want.
Okay, thank you. Shamar, can you answer that? Do you think it's important to uphold your civic duty of voting?
Well, I don't really have an opinion about voting and politics because for me, all I can really think about when I think of politics is if you're gonna run the country, just run the country and don't get us killed. I don't care who runs, just run the country and don't get us into another war or get us killed. Otherwise, whoever can lead.
So let me ask you, so in that being a person that has to lead us, do you think it's important for you to be a part of choosing that person? So that would mean, do you think you need to vote in order for whomever to get into office?
Can I phone a friend? Can you come back to me later?
Yep.
Let me get a little
That's
time to think.
You could think about it for a minute. So Taylor, what do you think? Do you think it's important to uphold your civic duty to vote?
I do. I agree with Sarah. What Sarah said, like, I feel like every vote does count, and it may not feel like it, because I do think a lot of the times, like, it does get overshadowed about like a bunch of stupid drama that goes on with politicians. But I do think that it, like, if you, like what Sarah said, if you believe what you believe and you want something done, vote so it can get done.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Tyler, what do you think?
I genuinely think that if the primary candidates that are running, if they don't stand for, if either side doesn't stand for what you stand for, then what's the point? You know, because it's like and to me, it's a wasted vote to vote for either side if either side isn't what you want to be isn't what you want to see done in America. So it's like you might as well just not vote versus help another side that you don't even care about.
Okay. Sierra, what do you think?
I believe that voting is important, especially during times like this. I think we need a president that can advocate for everyone and within helping them and within the black community, like with police brutality and like all the stuff that has been.
And then, thank you, Sierra. Shamar, sorry, I think you already answered. Is it Malachi?
Yes.
Malachi, what do you think?
What is that?
When you think about voting, do you think it's important to uphold your civic duty to vote?
Yes. Why I think that way? Well, there.
Are you speaking Malachi? Because we can't hear you.
No, I haven't said anything yet.
Oh, okay. You say yes, it's important to vote. Why do you think so? Malachi, are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you not have a response? Is it just
No.
yes?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
I'm not really into politics like that.
Okay. All right. Well, one last question, because we are nearing 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern time. What would you like to see happen in America? This is our last question for the night. What would you like to see happen in America to make you feel safer here as an African American?
Can I go?
Yes.
I want a full restart.
Wait, first of all, who's speaking?
Solomon.
Okay, Solomon, what did you say? Say it again.
I want a full restart.
You want a full restart. What would that entail?
Because it would entail a reset of just the entire government system and everything that runs America, because racism and discrimination is so deeply rooted from the beginning that I personally believe that there's no way to truly be equal in this society the way it stands now. And rather than change, I believe that the people up top, they do little things to just make you happy for the moment. Like, say they'll take down a Confederate statue, but they won't address any actual problems. Like, for example, they were talking, I don't remember when exactly, but they were talking about police cameras and how some police officers would pull somebody over and they would proceed to turn their camera away. And I can't remember the exact consequences that they made for an officer to turn their camera away. And I feel like that's the problem right there. If the punishment for an officer turning his camera away while on duty, and you can't even remember the punishment, I feel like that's a problem on its own. Because there's no way to truly regulate what these officers or anybody in political power or any type of power really issued by the government. There's really no way for a citizen to truly regulate them. Like, they can report them or something like that, or like they could go Black Twitter or something like that and get them canceled or something. But at the end of the day, there's no way to truly stop anybody up top if you really wanted to. The way the country is just built, it's just built to favor the ones at the top. And as things are right now, I don't believe that there will be a way for the people at the bottom to come to the top while maintaining everything that they held dear at the bottom.
Okay, thank you. Very insightful answer. So I'll repeat the question again. What would you like to see happen in America to make you feel safer as an African American youth? And he said he wants a complete restart. Tyler, I see you smiling. Do you have a response to that? Are you thinking something? I think I lost Tyler. All right, Taylor, give me your response.
I mean, I agree with everything. Was it Solomon? I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. I agree with everything he said. Just being treated as a human being. I'm no different than nobody else. So why do I have to be treated differently? So I agree with everything that he said. Just the whole restart.
Okay, thank you. Tyler, you back with us? Did you want to answer that question?
Yes. I believe it was Malachi who was speaking. I'll have to respectfully disagree with you. There's no way that we're going to forget what happened. Black people or white people, but the only thing possible is for us to attempt to change, to attempt to come to an understanding, and in whatever fantasy world that is, because is if you really think about it, real world, you can never change what somebody's thinking about you. The government can enforce any law they want, but that isn't going to change what the neighbor that despises you thinks about you. So the only thing we can do is make an effort to move forward and put the petty stuff aside, because you can't move forward if you keep thinking about the past. And I'm not saying forget about what happened. I'm saying forgive, as stereotypical as that sounds.
No, that was very insightful. Those perspectives are really good because you guys are making me think about what you're saying.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. What you said. See now, like when I think about like what I said, like restart, it's kind of like what he said. You can't forget what happened, but like make some kind of change. That's in my head what I'm thinking about restart.
Thinking about a change. Okay. Sierra, what do you think?
Um, maybe you ask the question again.
Yes. What would you like to see happen in America to make you feel safer as an African American youth?
Um, I think that I'm not sure what can make us safer, but I think that if a change is to happen, it will happen in due time. And I think if a change is to happen, people will put an effort to change how African Americans are treated. I think it's just something that can happen over time. I think that some people have to fully understand where us African Americans come from, like during the time of police brutalities and all the murders that have been going on. I just think it takes time and understanding.
Okay. Shamar, what are your thoughts on that? What would you like to see happen in America to make you feel safer as an African American youth?
Well, you see, everyone has made some pretty good points. I like the idea of the full restart, right? It's understandable. Everyone would want that. Just a restart on past things. Because I'm sure we all have mistakes we would like to relive that day so we can change it. But we all know restarting the past or changing something isn't going to happen. So I agree with both. So we just have to wait for the change. Because yes, we want the restart, but we're not gonna get it. That's just a dream. So we're just gonna have to wait for the change over time and then change ourselves. Because all it is one, what's the word? One really big process. Yes, that's what it is. All it is just one really big process and cycle that we just have to wait, let all the events go through, because the new generation is coming. We're the next generation. We will soon be the ones to take over the earth and run earth. And now the new generation, we're getting more accepting with more and more topics like I know I'm getting off topic, but like with LGBTQ, we're older generations, they wouldn't understand how we're more accepting with this. So over time, we're gonna get more accepting with race and religion, and it's just a process. We just have to take our time, and everything will slowly but surely, hopefully, fall into place.
So it seems like you're saying you think the hope is in the future.
Can I
The
hop on
hope's
there?
just in the future, pretty much.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
all
you
is in
can.
the future.
Yes.
All right. I like what he was saying. Because definitely the older generation is a lot less accepting. When it comes to change. So when you said that the younger generation and the next generations are the future, I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And that being said, the restart could come that way, as in, because sooner or later, the old heads are gonna have their time and they're gonna go. That gives us our opportunity to step up and then make some actual changes. Because as of right now, I'm not saying we can't change anything, but it'd be a lot easier when we're older. So while I understand that my whole idea of a full reset isn't exactly realistic, so I guess not more like a reset, just a push forward in the right direction. Because I'm honestly, I hear what everybody was saying about how we have to wait for change and everything, but we've been waiting for how many long years now? I can't even count. We've been waiting longer than I've been alive, just to be treated like we're human beings. So I don't think that that'll change. I don't think our situation is going to change until we get up there and we do something about it. And the wait could be waiting for one of us to step up. And if that's the case, I can fully get behind and support that. But waiting for everybody else to catch up, I feel like that's just not going to do it.
So you think that you all are going to have to take some kind of action in order for
Yes.
okay, and not waiting for somebody else to do it,
Um,
that it's your responsibility to do it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Let
Thank
me
you.
kind of add on to what he's saying and what I was saying. As he's saying, the new reset that we want can be the future generation. So, what
Got
if,
it.
in a way, we sort of raise our children to expect and be good with change, you know?
Mhm.
And then we teach our children to always want to explore and try new things and change. So over time, our children will just teach their children to change, and those children will teach their children to change until sooner or later that reset might happen in a way.
Got it. So the reset really is you are the reset.
All we have to do is just raise our kids right.
Okay.
Not,
Sarah,
not saying you guys didn't do a good job of raising your kids. Not saying
yeah,
you
because
guys
I
didn't do
was,
that.
I
But
feel like you might have
but
been throwing shots or some shots fired over here. I'm a represent for us, so I got you all that's watching as my generation. Okay, but no, I know you weren't saying that, but I get exactly what you were saying, and I think that's a very good way to put it. Sarah, what do you think? I think you're the last one who did not that's on with us right now and did not respond. What would you like to see happen in America to make you feel safer as an African American youth?
For us, or for me to feel safer, I think the change starts with everybody. For example, if a officer isn't doing their job, fire them. You shouldn't be a police officer if you don't want to protect and serve your country. Or teachers, you see a student is getting bullied, they tell you you see this, and you're not doing your job, you're not reporting it, fire them. Firefighters supposed to keep them safe. You're not putting out a fire. I mean, what are you still doing at the job for? Fire them. It starts with our jobs and it starts with us. If you're not doing your job and if you're not going to, you don't need to be in that position. You don't need to have that job. See, my life is on the line. Like if someone pulls me over, for example, police officer pulls me over not doing their job, that's my life on the line. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not going to do your job, then you don't need to have that profession. It's time to find something else to do because we have kids in the future, someone shooting up a park. I mean, who's going to be there? There's police officers who don't care, and there's other job professions like child services. If you're not gonna if someone reports a child being neglected or abused and you're not gonna report it in, what are you doing in that profession? You don't need to have that job. Fire them. It starts with our bosses. If someone's not doing their job, fire them. Simple as that. It just starts with us to keep us safe and the next generation and our future kids safe.
Yeah. So you're talking about accountability and holding people accountable for what they are supposed to be doing. And that's kind of like what I heard you all saying earlier about the teachers and not really doing their job. I mean, some of you feel as if they're not doing their job and holding them accountable. So thank you all so much. This was really great. You have some great comments. People, you have us adults really thinking. So you gave us some things to think about and some different perspectives. I want to thank you on behalf of myself, and Jacoby, and there's Jacoby. And just thank you all for joining us and being willing to share your thoughts and being open and being a part of this platform for our very first Youth Symposium. So I'm going to close us out tonight and say good night. And thank you all and join us again for our next symposium.